What's up, everybody? It's just me today. Just me. And it's 11:51 p.m. on Wednesday, June 18th. Dylan just left for LA this week, thus why I'm recording this late. And why I'm able to have every single overhead light on in my apartment. That would not fly with the boss man here. He really helps me get to bed earlier, which is very needed because I seriously can't be tamed with the bedtimes and just needing to be hyper productive all of my existence and having my second wind of energy at night. We haven't figured it out yet, but he left for work. He said to travel a lot lately. And although I miss him, it is really nice to just rebel and be like a rebellious kid with my parents not here in the best way possible. I don't want people to misinterpret that. And the only reason why I feel I need to give a disclaimer is because I'm on the mean side of TikTok, and I've been on the mean side of TikTok for a few times. I'm just trying to have banter and kind of just make fun of Dylan and poke fun, so not serious. I'm really ending up on the Karens and what's a horrible name for an angry man, the Bobs. I feel like Bobs are nice, the Garys. I'm landing on the Garys and the Karens side of TikTok where they are just ripping me apart. So I feel the need to be when I say Dylan's a boss man, he doesn't actually bossing around, but I can be loud. And I was just bumping music earlier because I don't have my roommate here. It's what you would do if you didn't have your actual girl roommate or guy roommate. If they were gone, you have the whole place to yourself. So I am a bit under the weather. I have been for the past 3 weeks, which really has sucked because I normally don't get sick. I can pride myself off of that. There has been some gnarly thing going around in New York, and I think it's just with the delay of the weather formally changing, which us New Yorkers had it coming. We asked for this. Somebody must have paid that Etsy witch because we are getting 90 to 100 plus degree weather next week. And that is also when I'm hosting my summer soiree, which we also had to get moved. For those of you who are new here, my name is Faith. I live in New York City. I am 26 years old. I live with my boyfriend. We've been together for 5 years, and I'm born and raised Californian, fitness enthusiast. I work in tech sales, remote. I have a YouTube channel. I have my podcast. I try to post on Instagram. I'm pretty funny on TikTok. I don't know. A lot of people might disagree, but I feel like TikTok is what original Instagram was for me, which was just throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks. Nobody understands that algorithm. People really try to figure it out. Doesn't make sense. But I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for tuning in. I have been trying to get into a cadence of having some guests on because it just keeps it interesting, and that's really what I'm trying to curate on this as I continue to scale and grow it, is just providing a place for people to come and listen and literally listen in a fly on the wall into conversations I have with people. I really want the interviews I have to feel like conversations. I don't want them to feel like interviews, because as great as it is that we have this amazing thing called internet and social media, in many ways it's pretty much a tunnel into somebody's personality, or into it really forces you to label yourself and based on virality and the content that you got famous off of. Or I'm not just talking about content creators, but I'll just stick to content creators for now. Specifically, it's as much as we think we may know these people, we really don't. They are putting out what does well and what they got famous for. So I feel like you miss a lot of the layers about a person. And that's for social media people that I interview and hope to interview. And then outside of that, in professions as well, I think we can get really siloed into that's the operations of how 9 to 5 every single day, maybe more than that, of that's our identity. And sometimes it's really interesting not only to just learn things, I hope you learn something from not only McKenna sharing about being a fitness instructor in New York and just about herself in general, what movement means to her, but about Austin and about opening up a med spa and like what started her, what inspired this whole journey, this lifelong career of hers. Like, these are things that without specialized long form podcasting and conversations, you don't get. And I really want to show these conversations with people. I want people to feel comfortable enough with me. I'm so grateful that people do agree to these opportunities and these conversations, because it is like brave. And I do recognize that it is a bit uncomfortable. I've gotten, trust me, way more no's in my like ramping of asking people to come on than I have yeses. And at first I was like kind of shocked, because the people who have had said yes, despite the initial nerves of like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to be, these people talk the entire time. Like, I literally could ask one question and I don't need to speak for another 30. But sometimes you do have to disrupt to make sure that you're allowing them the space to really show who they are. But people really underestimate how much they're able to just like talk and be comfortable. And it really is the environment that I try to curate, and just being a normal person and having maybe a little bit of background of them, but it's the energy that you bring. But a lot of people say no, and I totally respect that. I hope one day they will come back around, but that was a bit shocking to me. Being in sales, I am very comfortable with being told no, so I am totally able to let that go. And also, like, what am I going to be like, no, you need to come on? Absolutely not. That goes against the whole ethics of my podcast and bringing guests on. Is I want them to feel comfortable enough. I want them to share their story. I want them to feel like they can do it with me and not feel pressured, or that they need to like be that type of person that they were that they got famous for, that they're known for. Like, we don't need any of that. You don't need to bring any of that baggage in here. So it's been a lot of fun, and I feel myself like really drifting into kind of a dreamlike state of, maybe it's around the buzz with like Alex Cooper and her new documentary, and just seeing kind of where she came from. Also a similar background with collegiate sports. And I feel really connected with her just through her documentary. It's kind of funny and embarrassing, because I've always like wanted a documentary about myself, and I hope that doesn't come across as like narcissistic, but I think documentaries are just such a powerful way of telling someone's story and like deeply, deeply connecting to humanity, because it's just like such a pure and artistic form of reality television and really telling someone's story. And Alex, she has a great story, and it's really dependent on the filmmakers, the videographers, the producers, the directors. Like, it's dependent on that vision and bringing that to life. But like a lot of documentaries, maybe more specifically about people, I always thought made me walk away feeling really inspired and like connected to them, no matter if you're like a famous former guitarist or podcaster or actress or athlete. Like, I always walk away from documentaries feeling a little bit like connected to that person and being like, wow, I feel like my story would be said in a similar way. And that's how I felt about Alex. I do think it's interesting though that she started her career off of talking about like sex and like what was the word that she used? It was just like a very headliney podcast that clearly drew attention and drew eyes. And I do think it's very impressive how she was able to pivot her content into long form interviews, podcasts, conversations. I think that actually was probably way harder than she let on. And she didn't really talk about it that much, but shifting from talking about like sex and blowjobs and like your crazy night out to where that was the identity of Call Her Daddy, to now like interviewing Kamala Harris. Like, wait, what? So, but at the end of the day, she was just a regular girl, born and raised Pennsylvania, with not nearly thinking the opportunity she had ahead of her. So seeing her story keeps me inspired and keeps me going. And people like Emma Chamberlain as well, where I really just feel connected to them. I feel inspired by them. And you never really know in this day and age of content. It's not it's not necessarily like really doing something really novel. You don't need to be doing something so outrageous. Like, I don't think I need to talk about like sex and blowjobs to go viral. Like, maybe might happen sooner for me, but the importance of staying true and aligned to yourself and authentic to yourself, despite all the distractions, despite all the rejections, despite all the hate, despite all the non-views and non-attention you might get with just like doing your own thing. It's so important to stay true to what type of content is yourself and to your self-expression. And it's really hard. People talk about on TikTok how you can tell when somebody's not authentic, and it's like people are starting to catch on. Like, we've been around enough influencers and have seen enough go viral. We've seen the uprise, and we've seen the downfall of many. And because there's so many out there today, A, it feels more accessible, but B, we are developing kind of a survey or a way to monitor people's behavior online. I mean, people call it like the parasocial relationships, but it's more than that. It's you're monitoring someone's behavior, their inflections in their voice, how they say certain things, the content of what they're talking about, the direction of their eye movement, their body posture. Like, people are surveying this as they're watching the videos of people to sense if that content creator feels comfortable, maybe comparing it to like the content they were producing last year, and if it seems consistent with that. Like, we are really catching on to registering if somebody's being authentic, period. And able to catch kind of like changes in patterns and disruptions in those patterns. So I understand when people say like people can tell when you're being yourself and people can't tell. But I will say because I have been racking my brain a bit about like what made me even want to like start this podcast. And I do remember it was just an area of kind of like free-flowing thought, of a creative outlet. And I really do feel that I can't fully express myself on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, which is why also I'm really drawn to YouTube with my vlogs, because I really feel I am able to craft a story. Thus, going back to the documentaries, I really feel I'm able to kind of take people on a journey. And personally, staying true to myself is I really, really feel connected and inspired to long-form content. Long-form meaning like YouTube videos and podcasts, because I feel like it's more human. It's not a quick video. It's not like taking me up on a roller coaster and then smashing me down in like a 60-second emotional video on TikTok, or like a collage of like 20 photos where they're all running all around the world and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. Whereas YouTube and podcasts, at least the content that I consume, is honestly quite relaxing. It's soothing. I feel connected to the people that I'm listening to. And that is the type of content that I want to produce and am producing, and just trying to be consistent with it. But let me tell you guys, this stuff's a full-time job. I am having to there's a reason why I'm recording at midnight today, because I definitely was procrastinating a little bit, but there's no days off, especially when you're working full-time, which I'm very grateful to still be doing, because I wouldn't be able to afford my rent. But you really need to find ways to weave in your side hustles. And my dad was trying to challenge me the other day about like, you should want to do this even if you're not making money. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not making money. So I clearly am showing that I can do this. But I think he was getting at like, your end goal shouldn't be making money. And it isn't. That would just be an amazing, hopefully, authentically, and historically, these things can make money. That's not my end game here. My end game is to be truly one of people's content, comfort creators, and just feeling like you can come to my podcast or my YouTube, probably never my Instagram, and maybe my TikTok, and laugh and just feel a sense of happiness and comfort, and just knowing that we're all the same, a little bit different, but we have the same thoughts and the same worries. People communicate so beautifully different. People express themselves so differently. But really, at the end of the day, we are just humans who are just trying to make the most of life. And I really feel like that's what I'm trying to just express in connecting with those of you who do listen here, that I'm just like you. And I do feel I have a gift of, I'm not going to be bashful and saying it, but I do feel I have a gift in being brave enough to like put myself out there. Like, I feel like I have a good enough sense of myself where I can do this, and watch in like maybe a year, I'm going to be like, I literally was so depressed by all the haters. But for the most part, I do feel that I've been given a gift to be brave enough to put myself out there and bold enough to try to curate an environment where I'm sharing people's stories and like asking hard questions and like maybe putting myself in uncomfortable positions. But I do it because I love to learn. I love to show people and teach people new things. So that was like a 15-minute monologue about nothing. But I just wanted to keep you guys aware of kind of where the purpose of why I'm doing this and why. And if you do connect with that, I want you to stay along, obviously. But if you don't connect with this and you're like, oh, I actually don't really vibe with this girl, this isn't the type of content I want, totally okay too. Like, I want you to consume the content that you enjoy. And we're so overstimulated these days, and there's such an excess of just stuff on the internet and people to follow and things to consume, podcasts to listen. I want you to intentionally choose to be here. And if I'm not your vibe, like, I will not get offended. So that's my intro. Hi. So yesterday there was a pop-up with a DJ called Fred Again. I had no idea this dude had like 3.1 million followers on Instagram. So these DJs like to do these amazing pop-ups where they literally do what's called edging. And edging, for you old timers, which I'm like right on the cusp to not knowing. I'm pretty sure I had Googled this in the past. What the fuck is edging? Edging is where like you are about to give something, but you don't. Like, it's pretty much the summary. So this guy, Fred, had posted on his story that, and no, it's not the YouTube guy, Fred Again. This guy's like a DJ, and he's from the UK. He had posted on his story that he was like, should I do a pop-up in New York? Meanwhile, they definitely have. I'm always so afraid that somebody's like down there on the street looking up. Here, I'm just going to close the blinds. This is what happens when Dylan's not here. I get scared too. He had posted on his story something like, oh, New York, should I do a pop-up in New York? Which means that his whole team had this planned out. He goes to a warehouse, I think it ended up being in FiDi, and like runs a set on Twitch, the streaming app, for 2 hours. I had moved my workout class the day prior when he had dropped that he might be doing a pop-up. I moved it 24 hours before for earlier in case I could make it, with like honestly the expectation that I would go. And this would have been yesterday, Tuesday. And he does this Twitch for 2 hours. I go into my class around kind of like 30 minutes after he had started. I came out, he was still DJing on the Twitch streaming. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. It had been 2.5 hours in total of him being on there that they finally dropped the location, which was in Brooklyn. Of course, they're always in Brooklyn because there's more space. And the tickets, I thought it was going to be free admission, but no such thing as free lunch in America. The tickets were like, I don't even know how much they were because I didn't even get through. I was 100,000th in the queue. 100,000th. Hello? What are we doing on 8 p.m. on a Tuesday? It looked cool. Didn't look that cool, so I'm not too bummed. But I've been really in my music era. It all started with Fisher when we got like a huge group of people to go to Fisher a few weeks ago, and he was awesome. It was so killer. Inspired my marathon training. I probably should update you guys about that. My playlist, I was just craving music, feeling music just like vibrate in my chest and just like bumping and closing my eyes and just like feeling it, the chills and the goosebumps. And then the same friend group, pretty much, we went to this other artist who's also from the UK. His name's Sammy Virgie. We kept calling him Sammy the Virgin. Like nobody had any idea who this guy was, but it was kind of a last minute decision to go because it was after one of our buddies' birthday parties in Soho the night before. So we were like kind of banged up, and I literally bought my ticket that day. And that was awesome. Like he was super killer. Really enjoyed his set. Again, just like music in your chest. And I'm just like really in my music era. I just want to feel music in my chest every single day. And I just feel music just does something to me that I hope people feel this way when they listen to music they really enjoy. It's just, it gets me going. I'm especially like this music. That's what I was going to say. I'm like listening to the Sammy Virgie set, and I'm like, my parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents would literally be like, WTF is this? These beaming lights shooting in my eye. I'm literally going to have a stroke. He's literally hitting a keyboard and smiling. The loud sounds, the popping of confetti. This is like, they would be like, this is not music. And I totally understand that perspective. It is wild that people pay absurd amounts of money to not only go to clubs in Vegas, but to go to shows in New York City. And these DJs are selling out like Madison Square Garden. Like it's nuts. And there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I'm sure there's a documentary that exists today, but there really should be one around like DJing and house music and how it is a lot harder than it seems. But I literally had a moment where I was like, I laughed. I'm like, this is nuts. How is this music? We're comparing, this music is not the same genre, but music as a theme also involves guitarists, Billy Joel, Elton John, like Fergie, like all these other artists who sing, dance, like are incredible musicians. Like these people are also paired in that just like made me laugh. I'm like, this is nuts. But this Fred Again guy, what makes him so unique is most of his shows produces everything live. So whether it's a replica of what he has already done before and like some of his top hits, he literally on the keyboard will press, he will sing, he will make sounds and like record the sound and then play it back. If anybody's ever seen on NPR, they do the Tiny Desks, and they basically invite like world-renowned, most of the time, artists to come perform in this like small little studio. It's all the same. You can bring your band. And Fred has one where he like shows the artistry behind. He'll literally like be like tapping on the table and record that sound and then go over here and be like whisking a whisk and then hitting a cowbell and then singing. And he mixes all of that live to then create a song. And he does that during his shows too, which I think makes him really unique and super popular. But lo and behold, was not even able to get remotely close to going, which was probably for the best. Definitely should have just recorded my podcast yesterday, but we procrastinated to now. It did seem like everybody had a really nice time, and I'm really jealous of that. But music just reminds me, and as like the weather is finally starting to turn, thank God, in New York, it's just been really obvious to me, and this could be like a generational thing, and I really want to get someone to have a conversation with me about this, of like why our generation, Gen Z, is so unsettled with careers these days. Like I just never feel fulfilled in either of the jobs I'm having. And maybe it's the fact that I'm of the type of job I'm in, not necessarily the company, but it's us and then our parents, who many of them had worked for the same company their entire life, had complete company loyalty, maybe blind loyalty. And like here we are, we do have a way of communicating with each other without knowing one another. Like on social media, people just post like, I hate my job so much. Like I'd rather like jump off a cliff, like stuff like this, where we are exposing maybe how we feel. Whereas like boomers in my parents' generation didn't have a way, an outlet to express themselves and feel validated in their expressions as much as they do on something like TikTok, where you can get upwards of like millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes. And that's validation of like, whoa, people are feeling this way, which then encourages that thought process a little bit more, making people just think more negatively about their jobs. Whether it be that or it just be that we are just like such busy people and like so overstimulated all the time that I really feel like a lot of us aren't enjoying ourselves in our corporate work and not having fun. And I actually don't know if anybody in older generations can say that they have fun. Do they have fun? Like, did they have fun working for companies for like 40 years? I mean, I'm sure some parts of it were fun. It also just blows my mind, the fact that somebody would work 9 to 5, oftentimes commute maybe 2 hours each way, sit at a desk where they had the tall cubicles where like you could have worked remote, nobody saw you, and then come home to a family where you have to like cook dinner and engage with your children. Like, oh my God, we have definitely regressed with the capacity of humans. But so maybe a third layer of it, it's not that were they having fun, it's more we now have a radar for funness and having fun. And maybe all of this stems from just having so much opportunity, so many more opportunities than even they did to make money. Content creation, your hobbies can make you money. You can start knitting clothing and make money, making jewelry, make money. You can start making coffees. And like during the pandemic, people were baking goods and dropping it outside their window, making money, and now starting whole businesses. You can make money in so many different ways that I think it inspires people to like really go all in on their hobbies and passions and like kind of push aside their fun, like their corporate career, because they're like, I don't need this. And I actually really would rather enjoy and feel way more fulfilled doing something I like and that potentially could make me more money, or just lowering your standards about kind of what drives you. If it is money, if it is time, I have a thought about that. And being like, as long as I can make my rent and have a little bit extra each month, I am so willing to quit my corporate job and just do this. Our generation is way more focused on and has a radar of funness, which leads to many of us feeling a little less fulfilled in our corporate job. But what I was saying is we're feeling the need to have more fun in our careers and are complaining a lot more. But even with my parents, and this comes from just their upbringing, but I really try to take it for face value and listen. But my parents will say things like, you owe it to blank to see it through for another year. You owe it to blank. And I'm like, what? I don't know if I owe anyone anything. Like, I don't think it's going to significantly like move the needle by staying for X amount more time or doing X amount more or pushing myself to do more. But I do think you have to have some level of like strong intuition to listen to that. But this is all to say that we're complaining a lot about work, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. And I don't like the complaining. I don't like the negativity, but I do like that we're kind of waking ourselves up to thinking, okay, what can I do in life that I can feel more inspired and fulfilled by? Because God forbid you're lying on that deathbed and you're thinking, wow, working those extra 2 hours every single evening really moved the needle for me. Because that's also the origin of why I started this. And on that note, especially within people doing things that make them happy, again, we're not doing novel things here. Nobody's doing something so crazy even in the AI space, like things become so crowded so fast because monkey see, monkey, excuse me, I got an almond sliver stuck way back in my throat. Monkey see, monkey do. When we see something working for someone else, it's human nature for us to want to attempt it as well. Especially if we see it like generating positive outcomes of like lots of just viewership and maybe like monetary stuff. So whether it be software, whether it be content creation, whether it be small businesses, there's so much of so many things. And even more importantly, replicas of things or like mimics of certain ideas pop up even faster than they ever did before. So it's not about finding a niche. And like I keep hearing these people are like, what's your niche, Faith? What's your niche? And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're trying to label me. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring that out. But second of all, I'm like, I really am not doing anything much different. It's just I'm going to show up so authentically myself, and that will be my difference because nobody's me. But I really do believe in my deepest of truths that we all have something that we have a gift about, that we're a little bit more gifted than somebody else in, whether it be a knack for fabrics, and like I'm thinking of Dylan, a knack of seeing, feeling quality fabrics, of like curating a very quiet luxury look that's super functional for men. He has a great eye for not my fashion, clearly. I like literally dress like I'm like a Brandy Melville 10-year-old girl, but I love it. He has a great eye for just like good fashion, for like niche, for smaller businesses that are up and coming. He can always find a great deal. He always is finding insane sales to go to. He has an eye for it. He has a gift. I don't have that gift. I have other friends who have gifts for curating spaces and like putting things together and capturing an aesthetic, whether it be through photography, whether it be through event planning, whether it be through like bringing a vision in their head to life. And in some ways, a lot of them are able to do this in their job. Like I have a friend who is really good at crocheting and can like crochet anything. I have a friend that, what am I trying to think? Well, Lauren, like my sister Lauren, like was really talented and felt so connected to Eastern medicine and acupuncture and like what that did for her and her health and what she wants to do for other people. She has a gift. She has a gift that and she saw that gift and she's now making it a profession. For Megan has a gift in napping. She has a gift in humor and connecting with people. Everybody has like a unique gift. And maybe it's even a gift to know what your gift is. God, I don't even know. But every one of you truly has something that, whether you know it or not, you are slightly more gifted in than someone else. And it is your choice to action that. And it may seem like the barrier to entry is very high because I just spoke about how crowded all these spaces are, that we're all doing the same thing. But truly, it's just doing it and putting yourself out there. How fortunate are we to live in a world and live in a country that allows you to have freedom of speech, and there's no, as far as we know, monitoring or limitations in what you can say or can't say, and to what you can post or can't post. There definitely are limitations on that. But you can truly work your way up in a newsroom, from literally being like book boy, floor sweeper, all the way to like news anchor. Like those possibilities exist in America. And if you are gifted to know what your specialty is, or like to know what you're slightly better than average in, and you're brave enough and want to, most importantly, go in on it a little bit to see if it really makes you feel good, like you owe it to yourself. But I also understand that not everybody operates this way. Like people are totally willing to be like, I'm really good at that, but I just don't have the motivation. Like, what is it going to do for me? Like, I totally respect that because it's hard. But I really do truly believe, I believe people are inherently good, and I believe everybody inherently has something that they are slightly better than average at. And sometimes it takes a little digging, and it definitely takes exposing yourself to a lot of different things in life in order to kind of see different, like we're all like onions, see different little layers of yourself of like, oh, wow, I actually didn't know I'd react that way. Or, oh, I actually didn't know I'd be attracted to that person. Or, oh, I really enjoyed that event I went to. And like putting yourself in different situations will like over time reveal many things about you, and maybe one of those is that little gemstone about like what you're good at. So I just even feel grateful that I feel I found something that I really enjoy and that makes people feel good at the same time. But on the contrary of all of this is I had a note that said the notes for my podcast are nuts. I had a note that said losing ability to make decisions on our own. And this stems from my exposure to TikTok and how I really have viewed TikTok as a crowdsourcing tool to ask for people's opinions. I've stopped doing that because it clearly took me to the dark side where the Garys and the Karens were like assassinating me. So we're not doing that anymore. But I do really believe that TikTok, if you're blessed with a great algorithm, can bring you, it can be very useful for crowdsourcing information around what is the best blush I should be using, what are the best shoes that I can walk miles in but are really cute, what's the new work bag, how should I decorate this area of my home, what should I cook for dinner for my family of 4. Like it really can be such an amazing crowdsourcing tool. But with that being said, it's heightened our reliance on tools like TikTok and tools like the internet for answers. And don't even get me started about AI. It is going to completely disable our ability to process things ourselves. Like I do think, oh man, AI is like a beast of its own. I have so many thoughts about it. I really want to bring an expert on to talk to about AI. I do believe AI will be kind of like the Industrial Revolution where, yes, we fear it will replace people's jobs, but I actually think it'll make humanity more efficient in the workplace because we will hopefully replace jobs that are replaceable. And those people can then go hone new crafts, maybe utilize other tools that they have and skills that they have to have another job that can't be replaced by AI, or be kind of moved around in the company to a more productive human-facing role. Pray that these AI bots will have humans surveying them. But I do think AI will bring a lot of good things. But what I'm seeing in conversational AI with chat bots like Gemini and Claude and ChatGPT, my favorite, people are getting very, very creative, myself included, in how they are conversing and using these tools, so much so that we are almost losing the ability to think ourselves. And I don't think we're as far away from that as we think. And that is the scariest part to me. And even when I am discussing and deliberating with AI, where I have my paid version that I use for work, and then I have a free version that I use for helping with email crafting, for my podcast outreach, etc., brand outreach. I do try to limit my exposure to it because for those of us who do not have developed brains, who are younger than 25, I don't even think my brain's developed yet, and I'm 26. The way that I converse with AI, being so demanding, knowing that saying please and thank you uses too much water, so you're actually positively reinforced to not say please and thank you. These children that are inputting demands into these AI bots, this will change the way that they communicate with people, like 100%. I think they will get more abrasive. They will get more temper, have a worse, temper. they will desire such, and I feel this way as well. I literally get frustrated if it doesn't immediately output an answer. Like if it takes more than 30 seconds, I'm like refresh, like getting even more annoyed. And it's worse too, because it's like I know that this answer is going to be useful and I need to wait for it, because whatever I see here will be better than my thought. If I try to sit here and think more, I know that this is going to be better, so I'm not even going to bother to think. It's worse than your algorithm not refreshing, your Instagram feed not refreshing, or your Twitter feed not refreshing, because it's not necessarily what you're going to see is going to be an incredible thing. Like a lot of this stuff you see on these feeds is just noise, and then occasionally you'll see a good one that keeps you scrolling. With AI, you are in complete control of the inputs, and that output is so curated and individualized to you, because it learns your behavior, it learns how you like to be communicated to, it learns what you ask it learns how to converse with you, it learns how to keep you hooked. Every single output, every single one is of high value, that I think will completely disrupt the way that young kids communicate with other individuals, with their parents, with themselves. I really do think people will start to lose their own way of thinking and having like their own thought. And that scares me. And that started simply by having used TikTok for one simple crowdsourcing validation of like asking like, what do you think is the most expensive? What is something that as an adult you didn't realize was expensive? That generated like 30,000 likes and like 15,000 comments. And I was like, damn, like I really like that people are engaging with this, but like I didn't need that much information. Like I definitely could have just like thought of a few options myself. And then I started to think further with it, with like AI and how people are using it for therapy and using it to like be like their mom that maybe passed away. Like it's just like literally nuts to me. And I understand it, and there's no going back now. Like we're already here. But I want to bring someone on. I really want to talk about this. I want to get an expert's opinion. AI is so intriguing to me, because I think it's so polarizing. People really think it's going to be good. People really think it's going to be bad. Doesn't seem like there's much in between. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have an opinion and are in the AI field, message me, baby. faithkdunn@gmail.com. I want to talk. Don't be a weirdo. Okay, I'm going to go to bed. Yay! I hope you enjoyed that, guys. My podcast will drop 4 p.m. on Thursdays, and my vlogs on YouTube, same handle, Faith K. Dunn, drop 12 p.m. on Sundays. Join the fun. Come on. Okay, bye.